I am your host, and today's story comes from users who also provided the prompt of voices from the attic. Let's dive right into it. As always, this is a Reader's Theater production. Soft, atmospheric background, hum fades in, wind faint, creaking wood. Narrator. In the quiet town of where the desert winds whisper secrets through narrow alleyways, and the call to prayer echoes over rooftops at dawn, lived a man named Fairs, a 38-year-old school teacher, devout and reserved, who recently inherited his grandfather's old house after his passing. It was a modest two-story home, the kind of house built decades ago, solid cold stone walls, wooden shutters, and a slanted clay-tiled roof. But what stood out wasn't its age or architecture. It was the attic, sealed for years, untouched and locked from the inside, as though hiding something that should never be let out. Fairs moved in alone. No wife, no children, just silence, and the faint smell of musk and dust that clung to the old carpets and drapes. For the first few weeks, life was quiet, peaceful, until one night, around 3:15 a.m. he heard it. A voice, muffled, faint, like someone whispering from behind a thick wall. At first, he thought it was the wind, or perhaps a cat on the roof. But the next night, the whisper returned. This time clearer. "Talp, come up, ... He froze. The sound was unmistakably human, and it was coming from the attic. Narrator Fairs stood in the hallway beneath the attic door, his heart pounding. He recited Ayat al-Kursi under his breath and backed away slowly. He convinced himself it was just fatigue, stress, or perhaps a leftover echo of childhood stories his grandmother used to tell him. But the whispers grew bolder. "Every night we know you, we've seen you ... Your grandfather made a promise ... Narrator Fairs began to dig through the old drawers, searching for anything, old letters, documents, a clue. That's when he found it, a leather-bound journal belonging to his grandfather, torn, water-damaged, but one page remained legible. "Do not enter the attic. I've sealed it with Quranic verses. The voices are not human. I made a grave mistake in 1963. I let them speak. They feed on attention. If you're reading this, don't listen." His hands trembled. The next night, he didn't sleep. He prayed, read Surah Al-Baqarah aloud, burned incense. And yet, they whispered louder than ever. Narrator, by the fifth night, the voices weren't just calling, they were pleading. They cried like children, laughed like women, and mocked like men. Their tones twisted. One voice even mimicked his deceased grandfather. Fairs Beta opened the door. He couldn't take it anymore. He called an Imam, Sheikh Nabil, known in the town for helping with spiritual disturbances. Narrator Sheikh Nabil arrived with calm conviction. The moment he stepped into the house, his face changed. His eyes scanned the ceiling. "There's something here, old, ancient, and it knows you're listening." They both performed root. For 2 nights, the house was silent. But on the third night, the whispers returned, louder, angrier. "You brought him here. You broke the pact." The attic door creaked on its own. No wind, no draft. Just the slow, painful groan of something awakening. Narrator Sheikh Nabil gathered his things, preparing for a serious spiritual intervention. But Fairs, against all warnings, was drawn to the attic that night like a moth to a flame. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the jinn's manipulation, or maybe something inside him wanted to know. He took a chair, climbed up, unlocked the latch, and opened it. A gust of air hit his face, dry but ice cold. Dust floated like ash in the beam of his flashlight. The attic was empty. But on the far wall, carved in the wood, was a circle of old symbols. And inside that circle, bones, human-looking, small. And beside them, a name, his grandfather's name. Narrator. The moment Fairs stepped into the circle, the voices screamed. Not whispered, screamed. A sound so piercing. He dropped the flashlight. Everything went dark. He swears to this day. Something touched his shoulder. A voice hissed, clear and terrifying. "Now you know." He ran, tripped, fell down the stairs. When Sheikh Nabil found him minutes later, Fairs was shivering, whispering the Adhan through chattering teeth. Narrator. The attic has since been sealed, this time with proper ruqya and a barrier of continuous Quran playing through speakers. Fairs still lives in the house, but never alone. Not because someone moved in, but because the whispers never left. They don't call anymore. They just listen. And sometimes, they laugh. Fade out with faint whisper and wind effect. "We told you ... not to listen ... The end.